Okay, I think we're recording. We are.
We're recording? All right, this is Friday, April 5th, and we've got the executive board meeting. Call the meeting to order. We've got everyone here except for Margaret and Mariko. And we've got the consideration of the consent agenda. We've got the board March 19 minutes, as well as the financial report for February and March 2019. Any discussion?
No.
Have a motion?
Is our secretary treasurer good with the financial report?
Yes, we didn't finish going through everything, but for what I reviewed, yes, and I will provide you with an update after I finish going through the statements.
Which you're comfortable passing?
Yes.
Gary.
Okay, how about a motion then?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Unanimous. All right, good. Whole business. We've got the report of action from closed session meeting regarding the executive director performance review. What is still yet to be done relative to that? Ron, do you have any insights in terms of, we went through, delivered the information.
Well, I think
What's the next step?
the next step is to consider compensation.
Okay. And so we should do that in closed session though, right?
We should do that in closed session.
Is there anything else besides compensation that has to be dealt with on the sign before we go into closed session?
No.
The contract.
Just
written
a
contract.
revision of the contract? Okay. Were there any provisions
For
in
any
the contract?
reason other than compensation?
Probably for the
The
duration of
Evergreen,
time.
you had agreed on the Evergreen clause, correct?
Refresh my memory on what's the evergreen contract.
That just allows it so that you don't have to sign a new contract every year, it just automatically renews.
Ah, got it.
And
Okay.
that piece.
So
As part of the compensation, you may want to discuss including a COLA in there, so that happens automatically, which has not been a part of the contract before.
Mhm. Okay.
Is there anything else that,
So the evergreen clause is in place today, correct?
no,
Oh, it hasn't, so this would be something that we would include too.
Which is why we've
in the
got to
contract.
do.
Got it. Yeah, okay.
So,
Okay.
so there's that, right? And there's compensation, and then there's, I think at the end of the last meeting, Manny was gonna provide you with
yes,
all the
he did.
comments. Okay, so that one
That's been done.
we've handled.
Mhm.
Very good.
Good.
Okay.
All right, so now we'll go into closed session. Make yourself cozy.
Would you like me to leave?
Yeah, you should probably should.
Okay.
That'd be
Okay, I'm making
nice.
sure that it's really stopped. It's still going.
Can we go into closed session? I guess we can.
It's bad enough that Siri turns on.
Okay, it's on.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's go to item D, or B, I'm sorry.
Do we need to
Discussion.
report out or?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Is there anything to report? I don't know.
There's
legally.
nothing to report
There's
out,
nothing
because
to
the
report.
contract's
Okay.
gonna be approved in open session at
Okay.
the C board meeting.
Okay. So now we're reconvening in open session, and we have nothing to report as a result of the closed session. And we'll proceed on to the
We gave
agenda.
direction to you, as our chair, to work with Andy to update the contract.
Okay, very
We
good.
did do that,
Right.
and we'll vote on it next time.
Yes, right. So we'll update the contract and bring it to next meeting of the executive board. All right, good. 3B.
I believe this is it, the committee presentation dates. We
Yeah.
didn't do that we should have. When
Yes.
would you like everyone to report out on how often?
Mhm.
Regard,
Is anyone ready?
No,
report that we can bring into,
No.
like in the next,
Not-
not this
not
meeting,
Rena.
but
Not-
a month from now?
Well, I was wondering, we could have, even though the ADU committee hasn't met, Silicon Valley Housing Trust, is doing, more work, and they've actually granted, do you remember when they talked about a home for all? And they have a website in San Mateo County that
We
it
had
has a
them at the May
calculator.
general meeting
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah,
right.
so they have now granted money to 21 Elements to, they're going to encompass Santa Clara County now for 3 years. They've granted them money to do
Really?
that.
Who's granted that money?
The Housing Trust granted the money to 21 Elements to do that, to
Updated
cover our-
percent.
To a home for
To have
all.
the same organization cover us as well?
Yes.
Oh,
Just for,
hooray.
yeah, so, but they're also, they've got a, like, I
great.
sent them an email and I said, so what do you guys have going on?
We should be,
So I
partner
thought,
with them. oh,
I
yeah.
asked if they would like to participate in the ADU committee and help us.
Mhm.
So I could ask them if they have something to come in and present,
We need some help.
so when we go, but we have nothing ready to go.
Okay, and nothing in the near term? I mean, anybody that is getting, close within the next couple
Nobody has
months?
met yet.
Nobody's met, okay,
We have a meeting scheduled with
Okay.
Marina.
So,
okay.
Trying.
Yeah.
so I think the way you
Okay.
gotta do it, right, is we all, I mean, or at least the way we did it last year was we, in the executive committee, proposed dates for these committees. Because if you ask them,
It all goes to September, October, November.
yeah, and so
So,
that could be okay, but honestly, right, we should be able to produce something.
We're already in April,
So do you
May,
just-
May
Yeah,
is out.
exactly. We gotta.
so if you just wanna choose some dates for me, and then I put them on my calendar, and then I make sure that everybody's doing something. Rena at
we
the
have
end,
such a
and we need to
time
talk,
Yeah, I think,
pardon?
You have such a tight time window with Rena.
Mm-hmm. Rena, we have a new deadline with Rena that, we have a December 2019 deadline for the formation. It was supposed to be September of 2020. And so,
Yeah, that was my reaction.
mhm. But, so we'll
That was
talk
my
about
second
that.
reaction.
Yeah.
But-
Formation.
So you're saying we were asked to do it by 19 and now it's 2020?
No, we were
The
asked to do
opposite.
it by 2020, by September of 2020, and
now
they
they're saying
changed it to
19.
December of 2019. This December.
This is September.
December.
December, oh, okay. And who's
So-
who's making this request?
AVAC. And then it goes to HCD, but so then in January, they approve. So
So
Rena will have
We're still
to,
gonna get city numbers for each city, right? But they
There's no
understand
change.
that aggregate. and
we
that
won't, the
aggregate
numbers
number.
won't come until, that process won't happen.
No,
yeah,
no, I
that's
understand.
much
Yeah.
later.
That's
So it's
another
not
4
like we're
years from now.
getting, we're not getting one number and we decide amongst ourselves. It's, they're gonna give us numbers and then we can trade.
Well, they gave us
So-
numbers for the next, we're halfway through the 8 years of the current region.
So maybe I need to give the, well, when we go into the
So
agenda
I would
planning.
expect that this would be something that we would be doing as far as a report from the committee, not that the thing is done, not that it's gone to ABAC, but an update on the progress, or at
It's
least
gotta be
the
in 2
current
months.
thinking
I would say in June.
would be sometime in,
Okay,
I was even thinking a little bit later, like August or so,
Well,
after the summer.
I think touching
August
base,
will be,
I think touching base.
If
in
we have to
July-
have it
July,
in
August, did we
by-
cancel a meeting in, I can't remember. Are we all, do we
Yeah,
have
do we-
meetings all the way through summer? I forget if we
Do
count
we
that.
take a little bit of a
we just take
recess in the summer?
July off.
That's right.
July.
So that's why I think
Yeah,
June makes
okay.
sense, just to,
Yeah.
if nothing else, force that committee to
Right.
meet.
What about,
Whether or
Right.
not,
For
whether or not it
community-
slips to August is a whole
James.
other issue.
Right.
What
we'll be
about-
meeting, that's for sure, but, yeah.
when is a good timeline? Is that, well, actually, the question is, do many of the people report back to the city, to the cities? I mean, this, I'm just kind of, I'm thinking about, well, I'm wondering about the communication, because we need to update them about the change in deadline. And I'm just wondering, I just think that communication sometimes isn't the greatest.
Did they formally send you a letter or something?
No, I called last week.
Wow,
Well, okay, but they, I mean,
this sounds familiar. Oh, wait, we
Oh,
told
no,
you
now
twice, right?
they've emailed they've emailed me again to confirm, so.
If you have some,
The task force is supposed to meet at the end of this month,
This will be the
but we're
first meeting.
our first meeting, and, we haven't found a date yet that works for everyone.
Since you've asked, I'll offer a suggestion. One of the task force items is a work plan or timeline. And then you're communicating that timeline out to the city managers, which is, I think, the extent that you need to be responsible for.
Yeah.
And then the city managers
Yes.
need to dive it down deeper.
can I just ask a dumb question? I mean, what work do we have left on this thing?
Well, I was gonna bring it up later, but,
I mean, we already have a set of
Um,
bylaws, right?
well,
That everybody's.
we have
supposed to
differing
know?
opinions about the resolution that we asked everyone to pass. The last,
What do you mean opinion?
Probably Cupertino probably had a different interpretation.
well, actually, so James and I have reread this over and over again, but the last sentence of the resolution and the now therefore, resolved part, the sentence reads, well, it's all just one sentence, it's, that the city manager is hereby authorized and directed to enter into discussions regarding the formation of RENA subregion and the development of a work plan and budget and schedule of actions leading to the countywide self-administration of the housing needs allocation process, allocating the countywide total housing needs allocation among all the cities and unincorporated county by consensus. And to bring back a recommendation and resolution for action to join a RENA subregion or in the alternative, an explanation detailing the decision not to participate in a RENA subregion. Now, this is the same resolution that San Mateo County passed, and when their cities passed it, that's all they had to do was give us the ABAG, and that sufficed, and HCD completed it. Some of our cities are reading this that they didn't agree to join, that they agreed to discuss joining. And they may, so James and I,
This came out of the planning director's discussion this week.
yes,
There's some-
Okay, fine.
it was
So, I
very-
mean,
cities took very strong
But
positions.
let's, I mean,
Pro and against.
from the cities association
They're coming.
perspective, it's like,
we
what is
have,
this committee gonna do? This committee is gonna say, well, if you weren't clear whether you're joining or not, all we gotta do is set up a discussion on each council and say, we're definitely in or we're definitely out. And here are the bylaws.
so they'll
I mean,
have to,
this is
yeah.
not, what sort of,
So we just have to
why
have
is this hard?
confirmation, we have to have I don't think
I
it's
realize it's hard to get every council.
we have to have confirmation from each city that this suffice for them, or they have to pass another resolution, and it has to
Yes,
be
I
done
think-
ASAP.
Yes.
Couldn't
Um,
the city managers all get together and
I think we
We
will
worked that out.
discuss.
Have you discussed it yet?
No, because this was Wednesday's meeting.
Oh, I see.
I went to the
You wanna
planning-
have a bunch of politicians talking
No,
about this?
No,
yeah,
well,
but I have like the smart people.
That's
well, I
right.
went to
Working-
I went to
working
I went to
it
Scapo, and there was
They can agree, right?
a lot of discussion about it. So-
That's just as difficult.
I'm just asking what we want this I mean, honestly, what do we
so
want
this
this
subcommittee?
subcommittee to do?
So this subcommittee is just gonna kind of oversee the process of how we set up the TAC and how we set up the policy, just to oversee and,
Assuming we
This
go
also-
forward.
subcommittee is gonna keep us informed of what's going on with this, or what's not going on.
Okay,
That's what this.
I
committee is
just
going
heard
to
what's
do.
going on, so tell me what else they're gonna do.
well, the staff, will be helping the timeline and making sure, so that we don't have to bring the timeline to everyone. This committee will be looking at the timeline to make sure that we're doing what we need to do.
Well, also, whenever trades are negotiated too, this group would also be involved with.
No, the trades go to the policy committee, and the policy committee
ABAG
no,
policy committee.
the
No,
trades,
Ours.
the trades go
It's done
to,
between
we have
cities.
our own policy board, and
And
every
They gotta
jurisdiction will
approve
have a vote.
Oh, but this isn't formed yet.
But that isn't formed yet, no.
So this is what they're gonna be reporting to us on. This group is going to be reporting us on.
How we're gonna, making
the
sure that we set it up
progress
according
that's
to the
taking
bylaws.
place relative to each of these steps.
Also, we have to
So
submit,
June is fine. Let's-
so this
Yeah,
committee would
yeah.
also work on, we have to have
I
a,
suggest we schedule them in June. just
Yeah.
so
Okay, so
everything
this
is
one's
on.
in June.
Yeah. That way we can define the scope of work.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
obviously,
Yeah,
as you can tell, that hasn't been defined.
right.
Yes.
All right.
Ronnie and I talked about it.
Somebody, this is,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I have my volume turned down and it's on silent.
Is that an iPhone or a?
Here's the iPhone, I'm just turning it off.
So legislation will be ongoing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, ADUs, I mean, I can try, depending on how our agenda looks, I could try to see if we could do
Again.
something with them in April.
Yeah, absolutely.
April,
No.
next week?
That may be.
Well,
too-
not
that's
with
too
the
soon.
committee, we could just preemptively ask the housing trust to come in, or do you not wanna do, would that not be a good idea without the committee talking about it first?
I think this
I would
group-
have said August or September, just because, well,
Okay.
you know, it's like
Okay.
from an item standpoint, you would at least want the committee to have a chance to meet before the meeting
Yeah,
and
I don't,
figure
I
out
don't
what
wanna
their
rattle
direction
it
is.
through.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Whether or not they wanna do multiple, having the housing trust come in next week doesn't necessarily mean that this committee can't do something else.
Mhm.
But,
Mhm.
Okay,
you know,
all right.
I see them as two separate things.
Yeah,
What should come from
exactly.
these committees, from this committee meeting should be
I would love to hear from the
Kind
Housing
of
Trust
grassroots
on
decision.
this thing about Home for All. It reminds everybody and new people that here are the kinds of activities we're gonna be doing in Santa Clara County.
So why don't we have the committee report back or this provided presentation to the board in the,
August, September time?
August
Okay.
timeframe. August, September.
I like it.
All right, good. How about, transportation?
Let's see, my options are June or August, right?
No,
October?
you can do October.
No, I have things I wanna get done.
Oh, okay, sure. Well, you can
June
do
then.
it before.
June. Shoot for June.
Let's try that.
June, or you wanna do May?
No,
No,
we-
May's a
there is no
general
May.
membership.
We have your May.
Oh, that's right, general meeting.
Oh, you know-
Yeah,
Don't
no,
forget-
no, no,
don't
no,
forget
no, no,
about
no,
that,
no.
yeah.
Okay, all right, June.
Hey, wait a minute, I may miss the June meeting. I have to go to the Rotary International Convention in my wife's hometown.
All
But
right,
that's early June, so maybe I'm okay.
well, we're talking second week in June, right?
It's
And
the
the roundtable,
14th,
we
it's
just
the
scheduled that a few
13th.
times, just to give you a brief update.
What's that?
I've moved on to the roundtable.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
You're gone?
I'm gone,
all right, so why don't we put that out to?
August as well,
Yeah, August.
because we're,
Okay, August, roundtable?
And that's intermediate meetings.
Yeah,
Yep.
just a little update,
No,
about
Yes,
10 minutes.
absolutely, yeah, that's
Okay,
fine. So this is ongoing type stuff though,
Board,
right?
13th.
fire suppression, October, if we do anything.
Yeah. do
Margaret said she would.
October, all right, good, done.
Okay, great.
So, I'm sorry, what were the other,
The roundtable is ongoing and fire suppression is October. Okay?
Okay.
All right. How about the housing policy statement? Steps.
and what about CASA?
Oh,
We're
CASA,
doing- we're doing that.
Sending it to
legislation,
Ledge.
ledge,
Yeah,
and then, so that will be ongoing as well.
Got it, and Rena, we said was June.
Uh-huh.
And that's it, right?
Yeah,
So if some of these move around, we're still probably.
yeah,
Right, and some of
Yeah.
these conceivably like,
I just
like
wanted to
E-
come
give
back
everybody a
like-
target.
like ADU might have multiple sessions,
Right.
or, you know, transportation might have multiple sessions,
Yep.
depending upon how
Yeah.
things go from timing.
So it's probably June and November or something like that.
So the policy statement I sent to legislators today. It's on our website.
Can I say thank you a million times?
Well, we got it done. I will let you know that CCAG,
I know I was kind of hammering on you to finish
well,
it.
we got it done.
Yes,
So,
it's good.
Congratulations.
thank you, James.
And thank you too.
He did a lot of work on it.
Mhm.
A
You
lot.
know,
What is
it
the
was
next steps?
remarkable
Let's,
to go through a discussion in Ledge
Mhm.
with the widely varying views.
Yeah,
The widely varying views we have, both in Ledge, on the board, and get a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
So not everybody was happy with everything, but
So
Yeah.
CK,
that's
Agreed.
wonderful.
CK,
I'm gonna cut this
okay,
conversation off
go
now
ahead.
because
That's
we're
fine.
gonna run out of time here shortly. What are our next steps relative to that?
So that's what I wanted to ask you, what you would like the next steps to be. We have talked about, legislative visits, and I don't know if we should have a conversation with Margaret about that.
I think that makes sense, yeah, and the league is doing its own April 24th trip to Sacramento, so I don't know how much legislative visits we should do with our local,
Mhm.
you know, the local congressman and all that.
No, I would be.
But as a group, or, and I understand, you know.
I think somebody ought to be taking this too.
How about in the near term? I'm thinking even nearer than that. I mean, how
So
about if we send, each of us send it to our respective,
You should-
folks, legislators?
yes,
Well,
and I
no,
already
she
did,
did
I
that.
already
She did
did.
You've already done
I've
that?
already done it.
You've done it to all the.
Uh-huh.
So I
representatives.
circulated it with my planning department, with my council. I said, here it is.
So that, one of the next
And
steps that
then
we,
interested members of my community that I knew.
so one of the next steps that we discussed was doing something with, trying to talk to the PIOs and just making sure that you're shaking your head, James, or not? Oh, okay. Okay. We're wondering if, we should do a more coordinated effort about any positive stories that we have around housing. Just trying to make sure that, that we try to dictate the story instead of it not being the bad city.
So what positions have our local representatives taken? Evan, Canson, and
I think they're all supportive of SB 50 as an example. The one that is of also some real concern is 330, right?
No.
Which one is 330 again?
Skinner.
This is the Skinner bill?
Mhm. And,
The league took
Was it a wait and see
How
type
long?
thing?
it was support if amended,
Mhm.
for 50. Now our city just.
50 is about to be passed.
And we took basically oppose until amended, it's like,
Yeah.
it's all that, all of us are saying, it needs to have changes, and it looks like it's gonna say.
It sailed through some subcommittee on the
Right.
9-1. I see.
Well, okay, so
So,
we can raise this to the board
okay,
and get input
so that,
from them,
Yeah.
right?
And
it's not
so-
something that we need to decide ourselves.
Andy, I know you said, legislators, city managers, all that. Who all approximately did you send it to? So this was my, because
Oh, that email?
Rod said, oh yeah, I sent it to all my planning commissioners. I'm like, well, I assumed it went to
Oh,
city managers
it
and then
just-
they forwarded.
well,
And so-
I don't know if they forward necessarily or not, but I also sent it to,
Trust mine.
what we call what I call the council administrators. So those are the people who I have on my list for each city who usually would forward it to all of the city council.
Right.
Later on this weekend, I was going to, now because of the app that I will use MailChimp and, send it out like in a newsletter.
Yeah.
And then that will also probably go to all your council members, but I don't have your planning commissioners or anything like that.
Well, I meant my planning department.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't have those contacts. So I'll leave that up to you
Okay.
guys to do
Just-
that.
And I
Yeah.
just wanted to know, just from, okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. New business.
So,
Budget.
I just have the budget, also on here, before, May general, membership meeting budget,
Mhm.
first as well. Oh, it should be in your packet, maybe? I'm hoping that I remembered. Is it in the packet? I forgot to.
Well, we have,
I have it right here. I have it right
We're talking
here.
about this
Sorry.
budget, right?
well, we have Rod's
Rod's shortening.
So this budget, you can have that one if
Oh,
you
yeah,
want it.
you need one to speak from,
Yeah.
that's more important for you.
So, the budget is, the most important thing to know here is that West Valley College is paying for they're gonna pay directly for $5,000 of the expenses.
Why?
And so, what?
Why not? Don't ask why.
Don't ask why.
When they
We're
give us money,
including
we don't
students.
ask why.
And
Is
so,
this an in-kind, or is this just cash?
no, they're like gonna pay, we're just gonna give them some of the bill and they'll pay for it, cause we can't take a donation or anything. So,
Why are they giving us?
because we're,
Goodness of their heart. Because we're including these students in the program, and so that they're
so
going
it's
to be there.
considered workforce
and-
development.
Exactly.
Okay,
They're, so,
we'll take it.
do you
No,
wanna, tell them about the event?
Yeah, sure. So again, what we're going to be doing is having a program that focuses on autonomous vehicles and how the future will look for many of our cities as a result of this. And so we're going to start off with a panel of some industry folks that are working on this technology, and then after a 20-minute panel discussion to kind of set the stage, then we're going to task each table with different aspects associated with this to explore. And again, at each table, we're hoping to get an equal balance between electeds and students. And so together they can kind of discuss this type of thing, anticipate what some of the challenges may be in the future, what the future may look like, some of the opportunities associated with it, and then we'll give each table an opportunity to report out on what they decide, a couple of minutes types of thing. And so that's what the program is going to be. And then, of course, dinner and all the rest of that stuff is part of this as well. It's going to take place at the college in the campus center, which is a really nice venue for this type of thing. It's got a stage and all the rest of that stuff. Anyway, so that'll be the event.
Yeah, I know I told you this when we first brought it up, but by that time in May, we will have an AV
Yeah.
pilot taking place on
Yeah.
Stevens Creek.
Yeah.
So
So,
we're excited.
yeah,
So we'll
if
actually
we
have
can-
a real,
That'll be,
you know,
that'll be great.
autonomous vehicle
Yeah.
project. It's
I know, that's
Underway.
awesome. And if we can somehow kind of incorporate it into this program,
So
that
I'm
would be
gonna,
fantastic.
I'll bring a video of me in the back seat.
Yeah.
Chappie,
Yeah.
since it's Stevens Creek, could I drag you in another autonomous vehicle?
Can you drag me?
Drag. Isn't it
Oh,
drag?
drag race?
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
um,
Put it in sport
You're
mode,
both
I
moving
guess.
at 5 miles an hour? No.
Yes.
this is a Mercedes in Bosch, and so they're talking about a really high-end
Oh.
Mercedes-Benz.
You know, if we could,
Vehicles,
You know, if I got a Porsche,
I don't know if
if I got an equivalent Porsche.
well, let's discuss that. Maybe I might have to take you on. Depends on if they have the AMG package or not.
do you think it may be possible
I'll take
that
that in
we
my
have this vehicle parked right in the courtyard of just outside the venue on the campus?
We can always ask.
That'd be
I can ask
wonderful.
the question.
That'd be wonderful. The fact that we've got a show and tell type of thing.
Yeah, because
So
it's
you
gonna
could
be,
just
it's
drive
gonna
it
be
in.
clearly, they're gonna be clearly marked that they're autonomous vehicles and the branding of
Nice.
the,
Yeah.
the company. Yeah.
So if you could get back to us and let us know if that's an option,
Mm-hmm.
I'll work out all the details with the college to make sure that we can drive onto the campus and park this thing in that spot. In fact, I'd love to put it right in the room itself because it's got glass, walls that open up, and I'd love to have it right in the centerpiece of the entire campus center.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be really cool.
It would be cooler if I'm just sitting in the car the whole time.
Yeah.
You just drive around the room,
We'll-
right?
We'll
Sit there.
We'll
So
pass
no other
food and
purpose.
drink through the window.
We'll come in and share a joint because
Yeah.
it's autonomous after all. You don't have to drive.
Okay,
All right.
let's keep moving.
What have I missed or need to convey?
Nothing, but
So-
where it says total cost at the bottom of the page, just ignore that. I didn't remove that from the spreadsheet. We actually, in this scenario right here, we make a little money.
Yeah. You make
So-
$800.
Yes. I don't think, but we will put this on the consent agenda for the board because they have to approve it.
All right. Without
So we're
that
charging
number
members,
on the bottom.
$80, I guess, no.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
And as far as publicity and as far as reminders. and
I'm
all that.
trying to get that out,
Okay.
like ASAP, but we were, trying to have a discussion because, SVLG is helping with, us getting the business folks,
Okay.
the panel, and so, we're in the process of, so we can get that out right now,
Okay, just,
yeah, trying,
we're a month away.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. Things are gonna be happening
Yeah.
for them
Okay.
frantically. All right, good.
Right.
Now let's move on to item 4, new business, discussion of our 1920 budget.
Okay, so, the shaded column is where I made the changes and your discussion points. Right here, the dues are based on us increasing, the reserves to 6 months, which I thought was a little, it just seems a little much to me, but that's what the bylaws say. Oh, wait.
There we go.
Here, I increased the, office expenses, little high on them right now, but there are, there's some commingled, costs in there from the roundtable that need to be pulled out, but I think we'll be a little over what was budgeted this year. I need to, either have documents scanned or I need to get a storage room. So I increased that. Also, I left the consultant, I made that $6,000. I anticipate that we'll have a few $1,000s left to spend on this issue. I'm hoping not much. But I also would like to use this to get approval to, I think that we should be using, having an attorney sometimes review our documents, like, bylaws when we
Sure.
make them, or, resolutions, and we don't have that capacity at the moment, or haven't.
Right.
So I would just,
So you're gonna increase this amount?
so, no,
The
so
6,000?
I think 6,000
It's
is
gonna be
fine,
sufficient? Okay.
yeah. So it's actually lower than last year, but, but that
Are
was,
we,
And
can
then
you
your-
just remind us, do we have more money to pay for our organizational status?
do we have more money? Yeah.
No, I mean, are we
Are we going to?
going to be
So-
paying more money to finish
So
this?
we paid $3,000 to the accountant.
Yeah.
And I've sent the letter, and I have a copy of that letter, to show you. The letter ended up being very, very short. It could take 6 months to hear back from the IRS. If they say yes, then we have to take a second step, which could cost, I think, a couple of $1,000s, because we'll have to pay the IRS some money, and I think we'll have to pay the, accountant again, a little fee for him to finish it with us.
Okay, so there's
So-
some additional charges that.
Mhm.
So you got 6,000, it could reasonably cover that.
Mhm.
It would reasonably cover a little bit more, but not a lot more, but that, I
Yeah.
mean, it feels about right.
Yes, so, but if the IRS comes back and says no,
Well, sure,
Then we've got a
then-
bigger problem.
then we
Then we
got a
have- yeah.
different budget
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Larry's got a requirement that he have this resolved before he becomes president.
yeah, no, I've heard that.
That's all I ask.
If we
You know,
got-
I would have liked to have it resolved before July
Otherwise-
2017.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've got somebody to promote for president.
All right, move on. How about the rest of the budget?
Then the question is, about the reserves, what you would like to do. Oh, and then, also, one other budget consideration, I have a menu of items at the bottom. The RENA subregion, we've talked about doing it in the least, the most cost-effective way, but we call it the light version. There's like a middle version, and then there's a really expensive version. And we are trying to say to the light version. The light version includes all of the time coming from me for managing the meetings, the public meetings. And, because the cities association is managing it, we could,
Do you have the bandwidth to do that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So I did have a discussion, and so on the back side of the page, I had a conversation with Laurel Prevetti, and she thinks 50,000 would work. And it would have, the budget would include staff costs to basically do all the Brown acting, prepare the meetings, the agendas, the packets, update the website. So it would just be hiring a consultant to handle that aspect of managing those meetings. So we would have to add that. That is not included in the budget right now. Our bylaws.
I think you should.
Okay.
I think you should be factoring in that cost.
So the
into
only,
this budget.
so the thing with the.
You're talking about RENA subregion clerking.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So, and then I would also recommend that that person have some sort of planning background.
Mhm. Ooh, now it's getting an expensive person.
Well, I talked to the Barrett and Driscoll and asked them if they would consider doing something like this, and they said yes. They gave me a little more, like how much they thought it would cost, but if I say that's not they told me 80.
I might be able to provide some resources. I have a planning person on my staff. Since I'm the chair of this thing, maybe
Right.
I should donate some of her time.
Yeah.
That would
That'd
be
be fantastic.
Hey, I'm in a generous mood today.
Yeah, it's your birthday.
Tomorrow, if you don't nail it
Yeah.
down now, tomorrow, if I get it online.
Yeah, well, all those
Provided we get it by
generosity, the generosity goes away in about 15 minutes, if I understand.
Well,
So
actually,
we got
14.
14, yeah.
Who's got?
All right, so let's,
So then the other two things at the bottom were, and a legislative tracking software subscription. I'm not sure if it's needed. I called and talked to, I've talked to a few people about it. I just am hearing a lot of the cities, they're discussing hiring lobbyists. They're trying to figure out how to track legislation. So I'm trying to figure out how we can do.
But that doesn't affect the RENA.
No, that doesn't. No.
No,
RENA's
this
will
is
be.
different.
This is a menu
Oh,
of
you're talking about-
options
yeah.
at the bottom of the page. Other things we could add.
I see.
And then the other one is hiring another person, office manager, but then could take over then we wouldn't need an account, you wouldn't need an account or a bookkeeper. The office manager could do help with, the administrative tasks, agendas, things like that. The bookkeeping, which would free up more time for me than to actually do legislative tracking or other tasks. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Mhm.
That was just a question whether or not that was, if there was a pass through the 50 grand that was proposed for RENA, without the generous offer aside, was that going to be added to the dues?
Well,
Or
either,
because
Yeah.
I heard some political reluctance of even having to go back to cities, let alone asking
so,
for cities for
so
money.
the other thing
Yeah,
is
that's a
that
pretty
there would
cool-
have to be a charge to the county, because the county is included as well. You know, we need to
Yeah,
make
soak
sure,
'em.
well, we need to make sure that the county pays their share. The
That's true.
The bylaws that we have says that costs will be shared among all of the jurisdictions, so.
Then you, if the county's in, you probably then have
See,
to.
the problem here, of course, is, which we've debated multiple times, is the value of the RENA subregion at the end of the day. And asking cities for additional money to fund something that I'll say a majority of them don't see a lot of value in, is a big deal.
I see what you're saying. So
We
not
were,
making a separate
Sunnyvale was probably
you
one of
guys
the
are
last
like-
ones to say, you know what, we don't see a lot of cities, sure, if Morgan Hill, if cities around us wanna pay, Palo Alto wants to pay to build money or housing in Sunnyvale and take credit for it, that would be a conceivable option. We don't see that actually happening, and putting budgetary money into the pot for that effort isn't going, I don't see a lot of will to throw much money, if at all, money, specifically for this Rena subregion.
I hear you, and
Yeah.
you know, if
I
you
think-
actually look at the experience of San Mateo County, while they all set it up and they're all in, it's been used very little.
But
And
if,
that's-
but if you,
again,
but if, it has been used very little, but if you talk to them, they couldn't imagine not going through the process.
Well, okay, but I'm kind of with you. It's like, I don't think we ought to build this up to, I don't think we ought to be resource heavy on this thing until, we're really in a process where, we have to have the procedures worked out. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think we have to make this a heavy, big deal until, what is it? It's 3 years from now, and frankly, also,
And even then,
it's like,
it's a
you might
pretty-
have only one meeting a year,
exactly.
because there's only one trade going. If on the other hand, right, there are 9 trades on the table this month and 6 the next month, then, yeah, of
Well, the
course you got it.
technical
But I would be
meetings are all
careful not
Brown
to
Acted.
over.
Yeah.
I
But
understand,
Larry,
it's just.
Larry brings up a very good point, and that is that there's a perception among many, if not a majority of of our colleagues in each of the cities
Yeah.
that feel that this is very little value add for us.
Yeah.
I personally kind of share that opinion, although where I see the value is just to be part of a regional discussion, so regional planning can take place, even if no trade exists between
Well,
Right,
those
but
are cities pay, but-
I-
it's still, in my opinion, a value. But again, my ability to convince my colleagues that this is worth, the money that the cities are putting in, I've failed in every case, right? Somebody who doesn't see it as value is continuing to have that aspect associated with it. So,
It's funny that this discussion we're having, if you look at our documents with the pros and cons,
yeah.
these are all the
Yeah,
pros
yeah,
and,
yeah,
the pros
yeah.
and the cons
Yeah.
that we've already gone through, and
Right.
one of the biggest pros was what you just said.
Yeah.
The regional collaboration, the conversation.
That conversation
Instead of
is the
suing
piece
each
that,
other,
yeah,
Let's talk to each other.
right. So
Right.
I can,
They-
I
but-
personally can justify, Saratoga's expenditure associated with this based on just be able to have that
You don't
conversation.
need a lot of money to have a regular meeting and have a conversation. That's all I would need.
it though.
That's the question.
We've already decided
I
we
know.
need it.
We're
We're not
doing
going back
it.
on
No,
that.
no,
We're
But
doing
it's
it.
how much we budget for it.
It's just-
I just
yeah.
heard an offer on the table, to offer up somebody to be able to provide that assistance.
Yeah.
Without having to pay the consultant fee.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
so
Yeah,
with
So
that in
let's roll with
place,
that
yeah,
now,
Yeah,
and then
there's not a cost to the cities then.
right.
San
And
Jose is
now we're
generously-
going, right, we continue the way we are from a
Yeah.
financial standpoint.
and then if we can prove our worth or
Yeah.
justify our existence,
Yeah.
then maybe we can go back with a
Yeah, right, exactly. Once the cities,
passing the hat.
right, determine whether there is value,
Yeah.
right?
I think
Or
that-
maybe they
It's
decide
the-
it's not value, and at which point then we,
right.
That's a good point.
yeah, exactly.
Your,
Right.
your point about the regional discussion of housing, though, to me, isn't the be-all, end-all of this committee. It's basically, it's adding on to what this organization's doing. I look at the Cities Association as
Yeah,
that,
yes.
is really that effort. It's not the RENA sub-region specifically.
They have a
That-
technical task
Yeah.
to perform.
Correct,
Right,
and that's,
So-
it's kind of expanding what their scope is. And I
I would
understand
be
it's where part of
completely
that
bored
discussion is
serving
happening.
on the regional.
Anyway,
Yeah,
let's,
okay.
let's
So,
move forward.
so we're gonna
Yeah.
adjust the budget, the proposed.
Yep.
For
How did you want me to
It's
handle
just in his
the,
lap watching.
I just wasn't clear on what you thought about the reserve
Oh, we're gonna
Oh,
change the,
bylaws.
we're gonna change the bylaws.
So you want me to
My
go to
recommendation
3
is-
months, just keep it the same,
Yeah.
3
Yes.
months?
Look,
That'd be my recommendation.
Here's where I'm coming from. If we tell our cities, last year you were paying 96. Okay, you were paying 88, but our budget was 96. We're proposing to more than double that in 2 years.
Right.
Not good.
Not good, but you also, to be fair, the organization wasn't run as it should have been run. You weren't
No,
paying.
yeah, very interesting. No, we're not doing this. We
Okay,
can't do that.
so you
We
wanted
shouldn't
to
do
leave
that.
it flat.
And we're not, right?
No,
I mean,
we're
again,
not.
this figure is going to get adjusted as a result of our
Mhm.
discussion just now. So that number is gonna be probably closer to the 145 that we had in the last fiscal year.
Well, this is, our revenue for this year was budgeted at 154,
Right.
right? And so
Yeah, so it's gonna be in that ballpark.
I think talking about increasing the reserves is, I mean, we should. I think we ought to change the bylaws to carry a smaller reserve.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't think I mean, we've never had to dip into those reserves. That's never been a safety net for us. And so from that standpoint, I don't anticipate there being anything in the near future that would require us to have such a large
Yeah,
reserve. So
no.
I'm okay with the change to the bylaw to reflect
I mean-
lower reserve amount.
And, honestly, in this budget, if we take a look at how much we would salt away in reserves, an extra 31,000, that must mean our current reserves are sitting at, you have it at about 38,000?
Yeah, it was started at 40 and we
So-
used reserves to pay for the
I mean,
computer.
I would be very comfortable basically saying, we're not gonna increase the reserves from where we are right now, 37, 38. I'd be okay with that.
Well, okay.
Particularly, I mean, honestly, right, given that we've just had this huge adjustment, I think trying to do it effectively double in 2 years, I think people are gonna really scratch, I mean,
Yeah, but I'm not sure about that. I mean, again, while it's a big jump here that we see from our financials,
yeah,
to the cities, this is very little money. This is, I mean, for you guys, it's a blip, right, in your budget, your overall budget. It's a bigger blip, but it's still a blip even in Saratoga. So I don't think it's that big a deal, but nonetheless, I agree with you that the reserves, don't have to be at the large level that we have today. The increase, I don't think is appropriate at this time. I think we're good to keep the ship going the way it is. Are we okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a vote on anything relative to that?
I guess we would have to approve the,
Approve the budget with the changes?
Mhm. And then it goes,
the board.
it goes to the board.
Right, okay, so,
so what we are doing is, although we think our expenses for May are gonna be something like 6,000
no.
this year, our net expenses for the May event are, it's a break even.
It's a
Yeah.
break even, yeah,
But-
it's
but-
actually gonna,
We're carrying 7K there, we're carrying,
right,
Yes,
yeah,
so it's sort of offsetting, I guess.
Yeah.
right. I think and that's what we planned.
That's what we planned, so because it's unusual that we're getting that kind of donation,
Right.
maybe.
right.
So we, over time, right, are choosing to put somewhat more money into May.
Mhm.
I think that's okay.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
all right, good.
Because May is educational and December's
Mhm.
celebration.
So how about a motion to approve the budget with the adjustments stipulated in regard to the dues amount and what was the other change? And of course, the proposed,
Funding of
1920,
reserves.
the
Bylaw
reserves,
change.
the bylaws change for the reserve amount.
Can you remind us, Andy, do we have a COLA on what we're expecting cities to put in?
I don't
I'm
think there is
sorry.
a COLA. There's no adjustment for the cities, dues. Is that
No,
what you're talking about, dues? There's
Yeah,
no
that's what I'm
adjustment.
talking about.
no, the dues get approved every year with the budget, so I take this but the dues over the past like 10 years have remained relatively flat until we raised them. And they actually went down a number of years.
So,
That's why you got rid of an office, was because you couldn't give Rhonda a raise.
Right.
So you got rid of an office so that you could give her a raise. You guys you're paying less in dues than you pay to other associations.
I'm sure we are,
yeah.
but, so my point in that is, I think it may be responsible for us to, rather than do these step functions,
Mhm.
when we wanna get more done,
Do gradual increases.
gradual increase, so we do ask for a COLA from the cities.
Actually, you're actually right about that, and getting it done now
Early. Yeah.
So we don't have to.
would,
For the
would,
next budget cycle.
would make it better
Doing
for
it
the
this
city
way
managers.
is hard.
but-
Yes. Doing it like
Because we
this.
had complaints last time, we raised it,
It was
and,
last minute.
yeah.
It was tough to get into each of the budgets.
So let me propose, that we, ask our cities for I don't know, if you wanna do it very objectively, we can look at the CPIW in the Bay Area and use that.
Oh, we just
The
keep
same-
simple and
same
say
index.
3%.
Yeah.
Same index we used for minimum wage.
Okay.
If you just say 3%, everybody's like so used to that,
Yeah, exactly. So
you know.
Actually, yeah,
we'll
not
leave it
necessarily.
to our treasurer and
Something like.
We'll make
Come
a
up
Either
with-
executive
come up with
director
a
to
revenue.
come up with the
Yeah.
right amount, because the mechanics
You
of
don't-
it
you
are
hate
the
it.
same,
Okay.
right? We still gotta, alert the cities
Yes.
with sufficient time.
Okay,
Get it
I wanna
on the
make a
website.
motion that we do those things. We increase our dues 3%. You happy with that?
I am happy.
Um,
I'll give you a hug later.
Change your bylaws.
change our bylaws, although that's something we recommend to the board.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
recommend to the
Yeah.
board, we change the bylaws to, not have to carry this much reserve.
Mhm.
And otherwise leave these items as proposed.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do I have a
Was there a
second?
second?
Do I have a second? Okay, good. Now all in favor, say aye.
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 Alright,
Okay, very good.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay, good. How about on these,
Oh, it was
speakers?
because of that.
Okay. So we need
That
to
was why. Sorry.
finalize the timing.
Mhm.
So Senator Bell is
Yeah.
confirmed.
When is
He's
he,
confirmed.
for which, for this next meeting?
Yeah, for the board
Okay.
meeting.
All right.
So, I told him to
05.
7:05.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Alright.
I told his staff to 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but you have been having them speak for 45, or, I mean, talk and then discussion, so we
Yeah.
do 45 minutes again, or?
Yeah.
well, let's
What else,
see
it
what the
depends
rest
on
of
what
this is.
other pieces we're gonna put in onto our agenda.
Good
But,
But
but
Jim-
Jim, you're not gonna,
We're gonna say probably the same thing.
yeah. You
You
gotta
gotta keep
get,
it tight in terms of
yeah,
the amount of time he's gonna talk.
yeah, 'cause he-
Yeah,
Yes,
Yes.
and on.
I know. Yeah.
oh
So-
Lord, you know he's a rambling man.
Maybe what we do is we
You're in a
tell
good mood
him,
today.
that 20 minutes, we'll give him 20
Your
minutes to
tea
do this thing,
Huh?
and then
Last year tea
because
here.
we're gonna have a lot of questions for
Okay.
him, right?
Okay.
So
You can talk about
altogether,
it.
we'll
Yeah,
schedule
that's right.
some, I don't know, what I think is gonna be about 45 minutes for the entire piece.
That's probably a good idea.
But give him an expectation that we'll let him talk about, give us
Are you
yeah,
saying
for
the
20
last
minutes.
TA?
And you'll be
increase?
giving him like cues, right?
Yeah.
That was a good effort we
It's
got.
hard, it's hard.
Hold
It's
on,
very
hold
nice
on.
if maybe somebody puts up
Okay.
a
Card.
sign or something,
We just have a
it's really hard, but,
countdown timer in front of him.
but I'll make it clear that, we're saving time for questions, because we
Yeah.
all have a lot of questions to ask and so forth, to
let's look-
elaborate on certain
Before we
topics
set
and
it, why
such.
don't we just go through the rest of these things? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
week away,
Yeah.
we're not gonna,
Right,
you may find you have an hour for him, I don't know.
And that is where you're gonna lose the timeline on the questions.
yeah,
Because I think that there's gonna be a lot of housing,
right,
I mean, SB 5, it looks like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen,
right.
which is great, but.
That's
then
his
there are a
bill,
lot of-
right?
That's
Yep.
his bill,
Yeah.
Yes, it
Green
is.
Belt 2.0.
Mhm.
And I think there's gonna, so that's where we're gonna lose
Yeah.
control of the
Yeah.
timeline, I think. 'Cause
So,
there is a
but
lot
we
of
may be
questions.
okay, depending on what other elements we have in this.
So
because
tell
right
us
now we
about
don't
the
have
rest.
much.
It's a little light this time.
See, that's what I'm
We
hoping.
were gonna add a little discussion on the housing policy next steps. is what I heard earlier from you. Would you like to do that? Ask the board or not?
Oh, you mean about,
We should,
do we wanna go
Yeah, do we, what do we?
lobby?
Uh-huh.
Who wants to
I
go?
mean, how, you can't really control what somebody says when they get in there.
We should at least report what's been done so far.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the
10
most
minutes?
important thing.
Mhm.
And talk about what feedback we've heard so far. So just to kind of air that, because that was a main focus
That
from
was
the last meeting.
a major.
Is this a ledge piece?
It is a ledge piece, so we could do it with
So why don't we
ledge.
cover it in ledge, and if there's additional conversation
Okay.
that we can't get through in ledge, then we'll add it to the agenda. So we'll
Okay.
allocate maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or so on the board
And it-
agenda for this topic.
Okay,
and we
and
can
ledge,
choose,
if there's
right.
any support letters, because
Sure.
I think,
Yeah.
Margaret thought we'd have a few items.
Right, okay.
Um,
It'd
to
be nice
vote
switch
on.
it out before, while Senator Bell's waiting.
Yeah,
Oh, I
if
could
he
change the
gets there
time.
early.
Change the time on him. So
Anyway.
ask him to start later.
We're turning
Okay.
into a
Okay.
pumpkin
Yep.
here.
So tell us about the others.
Well, these are
Which others are
that-
ready to go?
well, the Housing Trust still wants to come and talk about, they're bugging me, and last month we talked that I might do a webinar with them.
Mhm.
I haven't had time to do that. I told them I still thought it was a good idea, but they really want to come to the board meeting. The Rapid Response Network is.
What did it tell us? This is the same folks that had their investor briefing
Mhm.
last Friday,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Many of us were there, I
Yeah.
think, right? You were there? No?
I had other things to do. I had ribbon cuttings to be at,
Oh,
and tours to go on. Anyway.
wow.
But, that's all I have right now. So is there other topics that you want me to investigate?
What,
So
what
you
would they,
talk-
what would they talk to us about? What's their request?
I don't have that request. The request was about there's funds that need to be invested, and they would like to be the ones where the cities give their funds to them, and they hold the money for the cities.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I don't,
Okay.
I'm not too interested.
What about having them come and talk about the Home for All?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot of value.
Okay.
And it's well timed from a affordable housing week, and they can lay all that groundwork out again and say, here's what's coming up.
What's a
next
Home
month.
for All gonna do for us here in this county? That
Exactly.
would be wonderful to hear.
Well, but it's a San Mateo County effort.
That's, hey, it's updating their web pages to put all of our codes in there, and I
And
think
the
that
Housing
has
Trust
value.
is paying for that.
That's,
But you're saying they're adding,
They're adding Santa Clara County,
Santa Clara
all the
County to their
cities.
mission.
Yep.
for 3 years, hey,
Mhm.
great, we
Wonderful.
can sell that.
I mean, I think they have an effective program going in San
Right.
Mateo County. So
Right, it's like
tell us
going,
about what you're gonna do here.
right,
Great.
going to Jerry Hill, going to Hill's outreach, meeting on SB 50. All the cities were like, we're part of this program. They, that program, what they did in Home for All for San Mateo County,
Yeah.
pushed all those cities forward far better than what we've been doing in Santa
It
Clara.
helps, they've significantly
Cool.
reduced the, jobs, home imbalance.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's add them
Okay.
onto the agenda,
Okay,
make sure that it's a
So have them
focused
focused on it,
conversation
yeah.
on Home for All.
I don't
And
mean,
we'll
I
give
don't
them,
care.
20
I'd
minutes.
listen to them on
Sure.
most any subject, but
And-
I do
and-
think
and
that
set
this
the- and-
would have particular.
And if you, when you're talking to them, please set the expectation that we're looking for timelines of what their implementation schedule is, so that we know when we will be rolling this out to our cities, because that, I think, is the important component.
And-
That what I've seen from what they've already done is fantastic. If they have a timeline of, this is when we're implementing that next phase for Santa Clara County,
And I would have them address how they think the cities association could partner with them to
Yeah.
help them be more effective. You know, if they have ideas about that, I'd love to hear it.
Excellent.
Educating residents about why this is like a crisis and important to solve, all that stuff, right?
Residents and politicians.
Yeah,
so what
yeah.
else would you like on that? Is there
Yeah.
anything else
That's
you'd
it.
like? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be plenty.
It's
Let me tell you,
okay,
because Jim's gonna go long.
but it's also okay to end the meeting before 9:00 too.
Wouldn't that be nice?
There's nothing wrong with
I
that.
would love that.
well,
Yeah.
we have joys and challenges that we need to always go through.
You don't say that with much joy.
Yeah.
Everybody has some challenges there.
Okay, anything else for this agenda? We're good?
What's rapid response?
That was the,
You tried.
That was a rapid response to his question.
Ah.
we're gonna have a motion. Rapid response is San Jose and the county have put together, a hotline for people to call if there is an ice,
Yeah, raid
Raid.
type thing or
Um,
I mean, I don't mean to make it sound like this isn't important. It's just, it's not key and not to our piece
Okay.
right now. But let's keep it on the list, and there may be a time when we may find it's really appropriate for them to come in and give
I
us
think they just want people to know it's there so that
Yeah.
you can let people know it's there.
Conceivably, that's an email to the,
And they have handouts too,
Yeah.
they can just give
They
us
have
the
a great
handouts.
video, they have a great video
Okay.
and.
So-
it
so be-
would be a
offer-
great
off-
webinar.
offer up sending that out to everyone.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna communicate these to all members of the committees.
Okay, anything else? How about an adjournment?
I move to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
All right,
I
good.
move to
Sorry,
wish Chappie a
10
happy
minutes.
birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday, Chad.
Happy birthday,
Thank
Chappie.
you.
My birthday's next week, so, right
Well,
behind
happy
you.
pre,
Thank you.
Birthday?
Is it next
It's
Thursday?
actually on Friday, the 12th.
So we just have the meeting until midnight for fun, right? So well, that's a reason for us to go long.
Yeah, exactly. No such thing.
I wanna drag Chappie on stage.
ah,